Brad's journey. Brad is a cool guy with a unique outlook on life. He knows how to navigate the complexities of being rich and poor at the same time. Even when he faces challenges, he retains his positive spirit and remains famous for his good deeds. The highs and lows. While Brad has achieved much, he also encounters moments of doubt. He can feel alone at times, but he understands that it's okay to ask for help. Being not alone is vital for him, and he values the friendships he has built along the way. Women in his life. Women play an important role in Brad's journey. They inspire him and push him to grow. Their support is a significant part of his life, showing him that collaboration and connection are what make life richer. Looking towards the future. As Brad looks forward, he sees endless possibilities. The future is bright, filled with opportunities to learn and improve. He dreams of becoming even better and helping others along the way. In the end, Brad believes that it is not just about being successful but also about making a positive impact on the world around him. Once upon a time in the mystical land of Eldoria, there lived a young woman named Alara. She was known throughout her small village for two things: her fiery spirit and her striking beauty. Alara had long, flowing hair and deep brown eyes that sparkled like the night sky. She wore tight jeans that hugged her curves perfectly, making her a sight to behold as she walked through the market. Alara lived a simple life in a poor village, where she spent her days helping her father, who was a blacksmith, and her evenings thinking about adventure. However, she dreamed of something more. She longed for love and excitement far beyond the borders of her humble town. One sunny morning, while wandering through the forest, Alara stumbled upon a bright, glowing stone. Curious, she picked it up and felt a wave of energy surge through her. Just then, a deep voice echoed around her. "You have found the heart of the dragon," it said. Startled, Alara looked around and saw a majestic dragon emerging from a nearby cave. The dragon was enormous, with shimmering emerald scales and eyes like molten gold. "I am Zalthor, guardian of the heart. This stone can help you find your true love and your destiny, but you must embark on a quest," said the dragon. Alara's heart raced at the thought of adventure. "What is this quest?" she asked eagerly. Zalthor explained, "You must seek out the prince of the rich city, who drives a fast car that can outrun the wind. Only he holds the key to unlocking the heart's power. But beware. The road is not easy, and you will face challenges that will test your heart and spirit." Determined, Alara set off on her quest. With Zalthor flying beside her, she traveled far from her village. As they approached the rich city, they saw towering castles and streets filled with people in fine clothes. There, in the middle of the town square, the prince was showing off his gleaming, fast car to a crowd of admirers. Alara's heart skipped a beat. The prince was handsome, with dark hair and a charming smile. But she also noticed that many of the people around him seemed to care more about his wealth than him as a person. Gathering her courage, Alara approached the prince. "Excuse me, Your Highness," she said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "I am Alara from a simple village. I seek your help to unlock the power of the heart of the dragon." The prince raised an eyebrow, intrigued by her boldness. "And why should I help a girl from a poor village?" he asked playfully, a smirk on his face. Alara stood tall, meeting his gaze. "Because love knows no wealth, and often it is in the humble hearts that true worth lies." Amused by her spirit, the prince agreed to join her on her quest. "But first, let me show you my car," he said, leading her to his vehicle. As they sped through the winding roads, Alara felt the wind in her hair and the thrill of adventure in her soul. The prince drove fast and expertly, but Alara soon began to notice something troubling. He seemed to care more about showing off than about what lay ahead. Suddenly, they hit a bumpy patch of road, and the fast car skidded to a halt. "What's wrong?" Alara asked, her heart racing. "I think I've hit a rock," the prince replied, looking annoyed. He got out to check the damage, and Alara noticed the ways he interacted with the people nearby. He dismissed the locals and brushed off their offers to help. Feeling uneasy, Alara spoke up. "It's not right to ignore their kindness. They may be poor, but they have a wealth of heart." The prince glanced at her, surprise washing over his features. "You really think so?" he asked, his voice softening. "Yes, I do. Let's ask for their help," she insisted. With reluctance, the prince nodded. Together, they approached a group of villagers who lived nearby. The locals were quick to offer assistance, showing the young couple how to lift the car over the rock. While waiting, Alara shared tales of her village and its struggles. For the first time, the prince listened, learning humbly about a life very different from his own. They laughed together, and Alara noticed a change in him. He was beginning to understand the value of genuine connections. Once the car was fixed, they resumed their journey towards Zalthor, the dragon. But as they entered a narrow valley, a band of thieves ambushed them, wanting to steal the prince's valuable car and treasures. "Stay back!" the prince shouted, trying to protect Alara. But she stepped in front of him, courageous and strong. We won't let you take what is not yours." In that moment, Zalthor appeared overhead, roaring fiercely at the thieves. The sight of the dragon sent the bandits fleeing in terror, and Alara turned to the prince, her heart racing. "You see," she said, "wealth can't protect you, but love and bravery will always prevail." Realization washed over the prince. The heart of the dragon began to glow, and together, they shared a magical moment. The prince looked deep into Alara's eyes, realizing he had found something far more valuable than gold. From that day forward, Alara and the prince worked hand in hand, bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. And in the heart of Eldoria, love bloomed like a bright flower, united by a girl in tight jeans and a prince who learned to see the world through her eyes. They returned to the dragon, who smiled upon them, knowing that their quest had unlocked a great treasure. The power of understanding and love. Together, they created a new legacy that blended their worlds, teaching their people that the journey of the heart is the greatest adventure of all. Once in a small quiet town, there was a boy named Brad. He was not just any boy. He was curious and loved adventure. However, he often felt alone. His friends had moved away, and he spent many summer days exploring the forests behind his house, looking for treasure and excitement. One warm afternoon, as the sun shone brightly, Brad wandered farther into the woods than he ever had before. He felt a mix of excitement and a bit of fear, but he pushed forward, eager to discover what lay ahead. The trees reached high into the sky, their leaves whispering secrets in the gentle breeze. Suddenly, he stumbled upon a strange and old path hidden under vines and bushes. It was narrow and looked like no one had walked there for a long time. His heart raced with curiosity. What could be down this path? With a deep breath, Brad decided to follow it, thinking it might lead to an amazing adventure. He walked along the way, and the forest began to change. The trees became thicker, and the sun's light was less bright. Shadows danced around him, and he felt a shiver run down his spine. Eventually, he came to a clearing filled with colorful flowers and a beautiful stream. The sight against the dark trees was magical. Just as he approached the water, he heard a soft rustling sound behind him. Brad turned quickly, but there was nothing there, just the gentle sway of the trees. Shaking off his apprehension, he knelt by the stream to take a drink. As he dipped his hands into the cool water, a sudden noise startled him. A loud crash came from the bushes. Brad jumped up, his heart racing. Out from the shadows emerged a girl named Lily. She looked older than Brad, with bright blue eyes and messy brown hair. She seemed just as surprised to see him. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and caution. "I'm Brad," he replied, feeling both scared and relieved to see another person. "I followed this path. What about you?" "I was exploring too," Lily explained. "I didn't expect to find anyone out here." They exchanged stories and soon found they had a lot in common. Both loved adventure, quitting their usual routines whenever they could. As they chatted, they noticed that dark clouds had begun to cover the sky. "We should head back," Lily suggested, eyeing the clouds warily. "Wait," Brad said suddenly. "What if we find something really cool on the way? Let's see how far this path goes." Lily hesitated. "It might be dangerous. I get a feeling we should head home." But Brad's excitement lit up his face. "Come on, just a little further. I promise I'll keep you safe." Lily rolled her eyes but smiled. "Okay, just a little more." They walked along the path, the air growing colder and heavier. Finally, they reached a large, ancient tree that looked like it could tell 1,000 stories. Its trunk was wide and gnarled, and the roots had twisted above ground as if trying to escape. "Wow," Brad said, staring in awe. Just then, they heard a loud rumble above them. Lightning flashed, and a heavy rain began to pour down. "Run!" Lily yelled, and they dashed for the cover of the tree. Huddled against its trunk, they were surrounded by darkness as the storm raged around them. "Do you think it will stop soon?" Brad asked, shivering from more than just the cold. "I don't know," Lily said. "But I think we should find a way back if we can. It's easy to get lost out here." Just then, the ground beneath them shook slightly, and a crack appeared in the earth nearby. The adrenaline coursing through their veins filled Brad with an unexplainable feeling of terror mixed with excitement. "Let's get out of here," he shouted, grabbing Lily's arm. They sprinted through the rain, trying to find the path back. Everything looked the same in the storm, and the wind howled around them, making it hard to hear each other. Suddenly, a flash of lightning lit up the forest, revealing a fork in the path ahead. "Which way?" Brad yelled over the noise. "Left," Lily shouted, and they took off down the left path, their shoes sloshing through puddles. The rain began to lighten, and with every step, they felt hope rising. Just when they thought they were safe, they heard a low growl echo around them. Fear gripped their hearts. "What was that?" Brad whispered, his eyes wide. "I don't know," Lily replied, looking around. Then, out of the shadows, a giant bear stepped into the path. It stood there, blocking their way, its eyes fixed on them. The storm had awakened it, and now they were trapped. "Back away slowly," Brad said, trying to remember what he had seen on wildlife shows. But the bear wasn't going to let them go easily. Lily took a breath and, with a trembling voice, shouted, "Hey! We're not a threat." The bear seemed confused, tilting its head. It took a shaky step back, and Brad could almost feel its fear. Lily whispered, "We need to move." With cautious steps, they slowly backed away, finally turning and running down the path as fast as they could. They could hear the bear retreating behind them, and their hearts raced with fear. The rain finally stopped, and the clouds began to clear, revealing a soft twilight glow. Finally, they broke through the trees and back to familiar ground. Panting heavily, they found themselves at the edge of the forest. "That was insane," Brad exclaimed, laughing with relief. Lily, still in shock, smiled. "We survived. That was one crazy adventure." As they watched the sunset together, they knew they would remember this day forever, both terrified yet exhilarated. From then on, they would face every adventure together, no longer alone. The Quirky Quest for Love. Characters. Caitlin, a fiercely independent woman in her late 20s who works as a freelance artist. Growing up in a small town where everyone judged her for her dreams, she moved to the city seeking freedom and adventure. Brad, a wealthy entrepreneur in his 30s, grappling with the expectations of his family. He built his empire on tech gadgets but struggles with loneliness despite his financial success. Richie, Brad's best friend and a struggling musician in his late 20s. He loves to flirt and is eternally optimistic, believing that love can be found in the simplest moments. Penny, Caitlin's childhood friend, now a successful social media influencer. She tries to help Caitlin find love but often gets entangled in her own romantic complications. Caitlin's carefree neighbor who owns a quirky vintage shop. She provides comic relief and wisdom, often dispensing relationship advice that is both ridiculous and surprisingly touching. Act 1. The beginnings of the quest. The story kicks off on a brisk winter's night in the enchanting, snow-covered streets of New York City. The twinkling lights dance like stars, illuminating the adventure ahead. Caitlin, bundled up in her eclectic coat, wanders through a holiday market, setting up her booth to sell her handcrafted ornaments. She feels the itch of a new year approaching, and with it, the desire to find her place in the world, ideally next to someone who gets her. Meanwhile, Brad sits alone in a high-rise office overlooking Central Park, wishing he could escape the winter chill that has invaded his soul. He scrolls through endless social media feeds, watching people's lives unfold, yearning for connection but trapped in his gilded cage. It's rich, family connections and scheming social events that keep him locked away, a puppet controlled by strings of expectation. Turning point 1. On the first frost of January, during a New Year, new love party organized by Penny, Caitlin and Brad's worlds collide. As Caitlin sets up her booth in a corner of the luxurious penthouse, Brad stumbles over his own ego, intrigued by the quirky artist's vibrant soul. Act 2. Sparks and conflicts. As winter melts into the first hints of spring, Caitlin and Brad begin a clumsy dance of flirtation. With Richie encouraging Brad to live a little and Caitlin convinced she's not Brad material, they navigate their budding romance amidst misunderstandings and societal pressures. Meanwhile, Caitlin's life takes a twist when Penny, trying to make her boyfriend jealous, inadvertently drags Caitlin into a whirlwind of absurd social obligations. Caitlin finds herself posing for pointless photos and attending overpriced soirees. Everywhere but the canvas she loves. Brad, however, is enchanted by Caitlin's quirky charm and her refusal to conform to the social elite's expectations. Attending a music gig with Richie, Brad watches Caitlin chuckle at 90s boy bands, wearing the tight jeans that seem to defy gravity. That night, he tells Richie, "She makes me feel like I could be myself for once." Turning point 2. After weeks of blissful confusion, the momentum comes to a halt when Caitlin discovers that Brad's family is planning to arrange a marriage for him to a high society heiress named Lucinda. Brad is oblivious, caught in the whirlwind of his family's expectations. The news shatters Caitlin's dreams of a future with him. Act 3. The Quest for the Heart. The 3-month quest for love progresses into a cacophony of emotions as winter yields to a vibrant spring. Caitlin throws herself into her art, painting her feelings on oversized canvases, while Brad gets tangled in his own family drama, trying to assert his independence. Richie, seeing Brad's struggle and Caitlin's heartbreak, concocts a plan. A road trip to a famous music festival where Caitlin can showcase her art and Brad's music can be heard. Buckled up in their tiny car, the trio departs, with Penny tagging along to document the entire quest. As they journey through lush green fields and past glimmering lakes, Caitlin and Brad share deep conversations by the campfire, revealing their dreams and insecurities. Turning point 3. The festival arrives, and amidst the vibrant chaos, Caitlin's art garners attention while Brad performs with a passion he hasn't felt before. Their connection bursts into a passionate kiss under the stars, watched curiously by Richie, who merely smirks as if saying, "Took you long enough." Act 4. Resolutions and realizations. As the spring blooms, Brad and Caitlin tackle their respective challenges. Will Brad choose love over obligation? Can Caitlin reconcile her ideals with her feelings for Brad? When Lucinda confronts Brad at the festival, declaring her place in his life, he realizes that this is not how he wants his life to unfold. He stands before Caitlin, the glittering festival lights behind him, and chooses her. Real, eccentric, full of life Caitlin. Back in the city, Caitlin returns to her art, now reinvigorated with new ideas inspired by their shared journey. She and Brad navigate the rocky yet rewarding landscape of a new relationship, filled with laughter and creative collaboration. Epilogue. Resilience in love. Months later, as autumn leaves spark around them, Caitlin and Brad celebrate their love in a cozy, intimate gathering with friends. They toast to new beginnings, embracing the chaos of life together. Each character discovers their place in this whimsical world. Richie performs his heartfelt songs, Penny and Caitlin giggle while planning the next adventure, and Dot offers unsolicited, yet hilariously astute relationship advice. In the end, the stars are no longer distant. They flicker right above them. Love, with all its quirks and complexities, thrives, proving that life's most extraordinary journeys begin when you dare to embrace vulnerability and togetherness. The Tale of Paige and the Seasons of Change. Beginning. The Village of Whispering Pines. In the quaint village of Whispering Pines, nestled between snow-capped mountains and lush valleys, lived a young woman named Paige. Renowned for her radiant spirit, Paige bore a heart that mirrored the changing seasons. Vibrant and sunny in the spring, warm yet introspective in the summer, a kaleidoscope of colors through autumn, and blanketed in a contemplative hush during winter. Her laughter danced through the village like the chime of distant bells, bringing warmth to even the coldest nights. Paige grew up in a close-knit family. Her father was a skilled carpenter, and her mother tended a vibrant flower garden, their home a sanctuary of love and creativity. The villagers often gathered to celebrate the changing seasons, sharing stories, songs, and laughter around the grand oak tree in the village square. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic life lay unspoken tensions, particularly between Paige and her childhood friend, Brad. Brad. The dreamer. Brad was another fixture in Whispering Pines, a dreamer with aspirations of building a future beyond the village. He was tall and sturdy, with wild curls that caught the wind like a flag. Growing up in a household where expectations weighed heavily, Brad often felt like a winner in games but a loser in life's grand tapestry. Torn between his dreams of adventure and the pull of tradition, his journey was fraught with doubt. Motivation. Brad yearned for validation and freedom, grappling with his desire to shock the world versus his obligation to stay in the village. As they transitioned from childhood to adolescence, their friendship blossomed. Yet, jealousy began to seep into their bond when Brad's ambitions clashed with Paige's contentment. The two were drawn to one another. A bond forged from years of shared laughter and secrets. Yet also strained by their vastly different aspirations. Middle. The winter of discontent. As winter draped Whispering Pines in a shimmering cloak of snow, a significant event threatened to fracture their world. The village elders announced a yearly festival to celebrate the end of winter, wherein villagers could showcase their talents and compete for the coveted golden pine cone, a symbol of victory and recognition in the community. To Paige's delight, she decided to present a series of heartwarming tales from her childhood, stories infused with the warmth of her sunny disposition. Brad, motivated by a desire to escape his tether to the village, planned an ambitious project. A mechanical winter wonderland that would dazzle the villagers and prove his worth. What was meant to be a creative expression turned into a bitter race that cast shadows over their once bright friendship. Turning Point 1. The stolen dream. As the festival grew near, tension peaked when Brad overheard Paige practicing her stories, a moment meant for her own reassurance, but instead, he took it as a sign of his inadequacy. Consumed by his need for recognition, he objected to Paige's participation, suggesting she was merely a satyr puppet of the village's expectations. Pain fueled Paige's response, her voice a trembling echo of resilience. She withdrew from the competition entirely, convinced her stories wouldn't be enough against Brad's dazzling mechanical creation. The festival approached, bursts of joy tinged by underlying sorrow for both of them. Turning point 2. The frosted misunderstanding. The day of the festival arrived, and the village square sparkled like diamonds scattered across a blanket of snow. As villagers gathered, the air thick with excitement and fragrance of spiced cider, Brad showcased his creation. A mechanical marvel that twirled and danced, capturing awe from the audience. However, when the music faltered and gears jammed, Brad stood paralyzed with embarrassment, the crowd's laughter echoing like icicles snapping in the wind. In that moment of vulnerability, Paula couldn't help but empathize. She stepped forward, her heart aching for the boy who had always been her friend. "Our dreams are all part of the same tale," she whispered, weaving her own stories into the void created by his faltering spirit. As she began her performance, her tales filled with emotion. Bravery, loss, hope wrapped the crowd in a warm embrace. Turning point 3. The bond of cycles. Regaining his footing, Brad joined in, enhancing Paige's storytelling with vivid illusions conjured from his device. The villagers were mesmerized, and together they created an impromptu orchestra of imaginations that blended their talents seamlessly. In that moment of collaboration, both found liberation from their fears. The joy in sharing their gifts far surpassing the limitations of competition. Their bittersweet journey through misunderstandings unveiled deeper truths about the essence of victory and failure. They were each other's mirrors, reflecting strengths and weaknesses, the yin and yang of their existence entwined in the fabric of Whispering Pines. And the new dawn. As the festival's last notes faded into the cool night air, something profound shifted between them. Echoing the delicate dance of winter melting into the warmth of spring, they realized that their dreams had always been interconnected. In the weeks that followed, they partnered to create a community kitchen, celebrating the seasons together with storytelling, laughter, and warmth. Years later, as the golden pine cone lay beneath the great oak, a symbol of triumph redefined, Brad and Paige gazed upon the horizon. Their journeys filled with twists and turns, they accepted the roles of husband and wife, two souls bound by resilient friendship. Throughout the seasons of their lives, sunny and bright, draped in winter's quiet, Paige and Brad embraced the whirlwinds, building dreams and memories together, forever grounded in the love woven from a tale of hope, understanding, and unity. Final thoughts and reflection. In the heart of Whispering Pines, the essence of the changing seasons sang a ballad of both laughter and tears, defining the rich tapestry of life. As each new dawn broke over the village, the characters of this beloved story reminded everyone that the path to self-discovery is often shared in the company of others, brightened by the warmth of love and understanding. Thankful Horizons. Setting the scene. Australia and Africa. The story commences in the vibrant heart of Sydney, Australia, where streets bustle with life, art flourishes, and coffee shops hum with conversations. Yet, beneath the surface of urban excitement, there lies a yearning for adventure that few can articulate. Meanwhile, across the oceans in the vast savannas of Kenya, the rhythmic trumpeting of elephants echoes against the golden backdrop of an African sunset. The contrast between the two worlds sets the stage for a journey that intertwines cultures and underscores the theme of gratitude. Characters and their complexities. Brad, the dreamer. Brad Thompson, a young poet and aspiring novelist, grew up in a conservative family in America where creativity was often stifled. His father, a war veteran turned mechanic, instilled in him a love for stories, yet always emphasized the need for practicality. Deep down, Brad longs to travel and experience the world, seeking inspiration for his writing. His ambition is muddled by his insecurities, stemming from a deep-seated belief instilled by his father that art is merely a pastime. Claire, the visionary. On the other side of the globe, Claire Omari is a renowned conservationist in Kenya. Born to a family that dedicated their lives to protecting wildlife, she grew up surrounded by tales of her ancestors' spiritual connections to elephants. Yet, she carries the weight of responsibility that often feels burdensome. Claire is passionate about her work, leading safaris and educating tourists about the significance of elephants in African culture. Her life is deeply rooted in a desire to bridge the gap between humans and nature. Sophia, the connector. Sophia, Brad's childhood friend and a marriage counselor, is a globe-trotter who thrives on adventure. Having traveled to various countries and immersed herself in different cultures, she often encourages Brad to follow his dreams. She is wise beyond her years and serves as a moral compass for Brad, subtly pushing him towards emotional growth and exploration. Subplots that weave the narrative. 1. The Elephant Preservation Initiative. Claire is working on a significant initiative aimed at safeguarding elephants from poaching. Her personal stakes in the project intensify when a poaching ring threatens the migration routes of her beloved herd. 2. Brad's literary quest. Amidst self-doubt, Brad embarks on a journey to find himself and his voice. With encouragement from Sophia, he decides to travel to Kenya, where he believes he can find the essence of storytelling in the heart of the wildlife. 3. Interpersonal tensions. As Brad's feelings for Claire deepen, he struggles with the dichotomy of his conservative upbringing and the notion of love transcending borders, cultures, and past traumas. The journey begins. Turning point 1. Crossing continents. Through a series of serendipitous events orchestrated by Sophia, Brad finds himself on a flight to Kenya. As he gazes out the airplane window at the sprawling landscapes below, a sense of hope washes over him. This journey signifies more than an escape. It embodies a quest for understanding and connection. Sensory detail. The aroma of rich coffee fills the air in the quaint cafes of Nairobi, juxtaposed against the earthy smell of the African soil rich with stories of resilience and life. Turning point 2. Elephants and Epiphanies. Upon arriving in Kenya, Brad joins Claire on safaris that showcase the immense beauty and intricacy of the ecosystem. He witnesses firsthand the bond between elephants and their families, drawing parallels with his longing for connection and love. One evening, as they sit under the stars, Brad confides in Claire about his fears of inadequacy. In that moment of vulnerability, a connection forms, transcending their initial friendship. Symbolism. The stars in the Kenyan sky symbolize dreams and aspirations, mirroring Brad's internal journey toward self-acceptance. Turning point 3. The heart of the matter. Just as their relationship begins to blossom, the poaching threat escalates. Claire faces a moral dilemma. To leave her community unprotected or risk everything to save the elephants she loves. In a climactic confrontation with poachers, Brad's fears rear again, leading to a moment where he must choose between backing Claire in her fight or retreating to the comfort of his insecurities. The climax. Defiance and resolution. In the heart of the savannah, Brad stands by Claire as they confront the poachers. Through quick thinking and a profound reaffirmation of his love for the land and its creatures, he finds his voice. Together, they rally the community, creating an alliance that raises awareness. The success of the initiative not only saves the wildlife but also cements Brad's identity as a writer and activist. Climactic sensory detail. The sun rises over the savannah, illuminating the silhouettes of elephants against the dawn, representing hope and new beginnings. Conclusion. Love and gratitude. Upon returning to Australia, Brad's experiences ignite a newfound passion for storytelling. He dedicates his debut novel to the elephants and the people of Kenya, infusing his writing with gratitude for the lessons learned abroad. Claire visits him in Sydney, where they share their dreams and gratitude, embracing their connection with laughter and love. Final reflection. As Brad looks out at the Sydney skyline, He understands that gratitude is multifaceted. For the experiences, the challenges, and, most importantly, for the love shared. Each character emerges transformed from their journeys, embodying the hope that connection, whether through love or kindness, can transcend boundaries. This narrative serves to encapsulate the themes of love, gratitude, and connection, creating rich characters, intricate plots, and an immersive cultural backdrop that invites readers to reflect on their own journeys and the relationships that shape them. The Great Migration of Hearts. Chapter 1. Beneath the starlit sky. In the heart of Australia, where the outback sprawled endlessly and the stars twinkled like ancient diamonds, lived a writer named Brad Weston. Disillusioned by the rigid confines of modern society, he chose to retreat into the wilderness with his trusty notebook and a well-worn fountain pen. Brad had a flair for rhyming, his words flowing like the streams that snaked through the arid landscape. Yet, deep within his soul, he carried a heavy burden. A past marred by the bitter end of a marriage he cherished. With vibrant tides of red and orange flickering in the sky at dusk, he would often sit by the campfire and recall the laughter of his former wife, Mary Kate. Mary Kate was a spirited woman with an unstoppable zest for life. A sun that brightened every room she entered. After 5 years of marriage, they drifted apart, entangled in an emotional labyrinth from which neither found an easy escape. Their divorce left a chasm in Brad's heart, but amid the sadness lay an ember of gratitude for the love they once shared. Chapter 2. A Journey Beyond and Within. With a restless spirit, Brad decided to embark on a safari adventure across Africa, in search of inspiration and healing. As the plane ascended toward the shimmering blue sky, memories flooded back. Of laughter, of whispering promises beneath the African moon, and of elephants roaming gracefully through golden savannas. He remembered Mary Kate's dream of witnessing the Great Migration. The ultimate display of resilience and unity. Arriving in Nairobi, Brad felt the alluring embrace of Africa. He traveled to Masai Mara, where the majestic wildlife captured his imagination and heart. The elephants he observed were not just symbols of beauty but embodiments of family. A communal force driven by love and gratitude for their kin. As he sat amidst the grasslands, he was struck by how these creatures reflected the very essence of his journey. Turning Point 1. The Meeting of Souls. One twilight evening, while Brad was drafting a poem amid the murmurs of the wild, he met Zuri, a local tour guide with an extraordinary connection to nature. With eyes that sparkled like the African night sky, Zuri shared the wisdom of her ancestors, stories of unity and the importance of nurturing relationships. She was an artist of life, her words painting vivid images of both the brutality and beauty of the world. Their friendship blossomed, filled with laughter and heartfelt conversations. Zuri revealed her dreams of building a sanctuary for elephants, a heartfelt mission born from a childhood spent watching the gentle giants being hunted for sport. Chapter 3. The ties that bind. As Brad immersed himself in Zuri's world, he discovered paralleled hearts and shared dreams. They ventured into the wild together, where the heaviness in Brad's heart began to lighten. Zuri taught him the art of gratitude. Finding magic in the mundane, celebrating moments of joy and sorrow alike. She shared stories of her late mother, a scholar who taught her that love is both an anchor and a sail in the stormy seas of life. Back in Australia, Mary Kate had embarked on her journey of self-discovery, enrolling in a course to become a wildlife conservationist, inspired by the same elephants that captivated Brad. She often pondered their connection, the whispers of their past igniting sparks of longing. Both Brad and Mary Kate embraced their separate paths, yet each felt an invisible thread tethering them together, often drawing them back into unmade decisions. Turning Point 2. Love rekindled. As fate would have it, Zuri encouraged Brad to confront his past, to approach Mary-Kate and express the hidden gratitude he had for their time together. During a particularly emotional dawn in the Mara, as golden rays spilled through the horizon, he penned a heartfelt letter to her, filled with gratitude for their shared memories. He spoke of the embers of love that would forever illuminate their souls, even if they were miles apart. In a strange twist of fate, after months of climate activism and connecting with local communities, Mary-Kate's initiative caught the attention of a wildlife organization, leading her to Kenya for a conference that coincidentally aligned with Brad's journey. As their paths crossed again beneath the shadow of tall acacias, the tender ache of their history enveloped them both. Chapter 4. The Elephant's Blessing. Under the African sky, both Brad and Mary-Kate acknowledged the longing they had carried, realizing the importance of closure. They revisited the memories that once defined them, laughing and weeping in equal measure, feeling the love that still sometimes flickered between them. Yet, they understood that love can be both what binds and liberates. During their time together, they witnessed a herd of elephants crossing the Mara River. A breathtaking scene symbolizing the journey of life itself. Inspired, they discussed their ambitions and set out to create a project that combined their passions. Conservation and writing. Their renewed friendship blossomed into a healing love, one that painted their past in a more vibrant hue. Turning Point 3. New Horizons. Back in Australia, fortified by their experiences, the pair dedicated themselves to their cause, channeling their intertwined passions into a book blending poetry and an advocacy message for wildlife preservation. Their story ignited discussions about love, heartache, and the profound beauty of gratitude, showing others that healing can come from the most unexpected places. Brad's words, once steeped in sorrow, transformed into a celebration of new beginnings. A vibrant tapestry woven from loss, understanding, and love that embraced their conjoined pasts while also propelling them toward a shared future. Epilogue. Together in harmony. Years later, surrounded by the landscapes they both so deeply cherished, Brad and Mary-Kate stood hand in hand, crafting a foundation for conservation inspired by their journeys. The gentle rumble of elephants in the backdrop served as a reminder of resilience and unity. They were living proof that love, wherever it may arise, can lead to gratitude and strength. Thus, the safari that began as a quest for individual healing morphed into a collaborative venture that connected hearts across continents, proving that with gratitude and love, even the most broken paths can lead to the greatest journeys. The sun dipped low in the horizon, echoing their journey of growth. A radiant reminder that love, like the great migration of elephants, is a force that transcends everything. This story reflects the interconnectedness of personal journeys and highlights how gratitude can redefine past relationships, leading individuals to healing and new horizons filled with possibility. The Echoes of Gratitude. Chapter 1. The Last of the Good Days. The world had once been a tapestry of vibrant colors, where laughter mingled with the hum of city life, and dreams were easily crafted under the warm sun. But in 2083, the hues had faded, replaced by the grays of oppression and the deep shadows cast by a relentless regime known as the Dominion. Brad, shouted a voice across the dusty streets of New Canberra, a city that once thrived on creativity and freedom. It was Caitlin, his best friend since childhood. She had always been the adventurer, the one to lead them into mischief and out of mundane lives. "Kate, wait up," Brad shouted back, brushing a few strands of tousled hair from his face. His eyes were darkened by fatigue, but they glimmered with the light of memory, carrying the weight of stories they had created together. They had grown up surrounded by tales from their parents. Of a time when elephants roamed the Australian outback, when safaris in Africa were a rite of passage, and when the wilds of America sang of endless possibilities. Yet now, their reality was dictated by the Dominion, and color had twisted into monotone. "Have you heard about the Gratefuls?" Caitlin asked, breathless from running. The two of them leaned against a rusted steel beam that marked the entrance to the government-controlled shopping center, once a vibrant marketplace filled with fashion designers and artists. "They say it is a movement," Caitlin whispered, her eyes darting around as if she were sharing a forbidden secret. Brad nodded, barely able to comprehend the weight of hope wrapped in her words. "What do they want?" "Gratitude. They want gratitude," she exclaimed, raising her hands in a gesture of defiance. "Imagine that. A world where love and thankfulness rise above all this darkness." Chapter 2. The Road to Freedom. Caitlin's conviction sparked a fire in Brad. A fire stifled by years of conformity under the Dominion's thumb. Their conversation sparked a plan, a journey into the wilderness of their imagination. They packed only the essentials. A dusty ball for basketball games in the back alley, a few clothes designed by forgotten artists, and a faded photograph of a woman who had once danced with elephants. His mother, who had disappeared years ago into the shadows of the regime. "We need to find the Gratefuls," Brad declared, shoving the photograph into his pocket. "They could be our way to a brighter world." Their quest took them south, down crumbling roads lined with dying trees and memories. They followed whispers of hope, running into others who dared to dream. Mary, an aspiring graphic designer, and Ashley, a basketball coach whose team had been silenced by the regime for protesting peacefully. "You can't know love without knowing gratitude," Ashley said as the sun set behind them, casting a golden glow on their path. Turning Point 1. The discovery. Days turned to weeks as they climbed rival hills and crossed barren plains, aiming for the rumored gathering location of the Gratefuls. A hidden enclave known as Heartwood. But upon their arrival, they found the enclave surrounded by soldiers, enforcing silence under the guise of security. "We're here for peace," Caitlin shouted, her voice ringing with determination. A figure emerged from the shadows, radiant in the fading light. It was Paige, a leader of the Gratefuls, whose piercing gaze held a multitude of stories. "To change the world, you must first change yourselves. Gratitude is the heart that beats in each of us," she said, immediately captivating everyone present. Chapter 3. The Heart of the Matter. In Heartwood, barriers broke down as connections formed through storytelling, art, and music, magnifying the essence of love and gratitude. Brad was reminded of moments spent with his mother, her laughter echoing above the cacophony of city sounds. Every encounter, filled with shared dreams and fears, intertwined their lives deeper. "What if we not only express gratitude," suggested Brad, "but also live for it? In our words, in our actions." "A brave thought," Paige encouraged, gesturing towards their makeshift stage. "We need a showcase. Show the Dominion it cannot bury our light." Turning Point 2. The performance. Plans unfolded, yet the very heart of the movement was put to the test. As they prepared for the showcase, soldiers infiltrated Heartwood, threatening to dismantle their sanctuary of dreams. Caitlin stood tall against the threats. "No more fear. We will sing praises of love." She rallied the others, igniting a flame in their hearts. On the night of their performance, lights flickered around them, and their voices rose against the atmosphere of oppression. Songs of freedom intertwined with rhythms of hope, echoing a long-lost joy. In that moment, they bridged a gap through the fear that had gripped their lives. But the victory was short-lived. Soldiers clashed with the performers, arresting many, including Caitlin. As she was led away, her eyes met Brad's, begging him to carry out their vision. Chapter 4. The Aftermath. After the turmoil of Heartwood, Brad found himself isolated, grappling with the loss of his beloved friend. But he remembered the words of Paige, the ethos of the Gratefuls. Imagine love as a shared experience that unites us. He launched a campaign fueled by memories and dreams. He wrote powerful rhymes that crossed borders, sending messages of gratitude and unity to the oppressed. Together we stand, bound by our hearts, in the face of darkness, we shall not part. His words spread like wildfire, resonating with souls trapped in the monotony of despair, igniting a movement across boundaries, leading to the announcement of the Great Rally, where they planned to gather in numbers that could no longer be ignored. Turning point 3. The Great Rally. The Great Rally unfolded in the heart of the city, amidst throngs of individuals. They rallied. Diverse faces united in a single chant. Gratitude. Love. Together. Brad stepped onto a makeshift podium, the voice of hope. Armed with heartfelt rhymes, he shared the story of friendship, of Caitlin's unwavering spirit, and of the importance of gratitude. In our gratitude lies our power. It is the heart of our resilience. It is love that brings color back to our world. The crowd erupted, stoking flames of determination. But just as hope soared, the Dominion unleashed a wave of authority, attempting to dissolve their unity. Chapter 5. A New Dawn. Yet even as chaos thundered around them, Brad, filled with love and gratitude, remembered Caitlin's voice urging him to be brave. As they resisted, elephants roamed the streets of their imaginings. A memory of life and adventure guiding their spirits. People fought back not with violence but with acts of kindness, sharing laughter and love amid the chaos. The Dominion was forced to recognize the strength of unity, buckling beneath the weight of a movement grounded in gratitude. Months passed. Slowly but surely, policies changed. The regiments loosened their control, relinquishing the shadows that had dominated for so long. Caitlin was released, her spirit unbroken. Brad and Caitlin reunited, stepping out into a world infused with color. The air vibrated with love, and laughter echoed through the streets. Epilogue. A heartful future. Years later, as Brad and Caitlin stood in a sunlit park, watching children play basketball near an elephant sanctuary, they marveled at the transformation around them. The shopping center had become a vibrant hub of creativity, filled with aspiring artists and designers, where stories of gratitude flowed like rivers. "Can you believe we did it?" Caitlin laughed, her eyes sparkling. "We fought for our hearts," Brad replied, the warmth of gratitude enveloping them. "And we'll keep fighting. Because every moment is important." And as they embraced the setting sun, hearts full of hope and gratitude, the whispers of the past transformed into a melody for a brighter future. Echoes of love illuminating the path ahead. The Secrets of the Whispering Woods. In the small town of Eldridge, a group of close friends planned a weekend hike to celebrate the arrival of spring. Among them was Brad, an enthusiastic adventurer who loved exploring the untamed wilderness. He had worked hard all week, surrounded by the dull gray of office walls, and the thought of wandering through the vibrant greens and browns of the forest filled him with excitement. The group met early on a Saturday morning, the air crisp with the promise of adventure. Among the friends was Emily, a spirited girl with bright blue eyes that sparkled like the surface of a lake. She wore her favorite tight jeans and sneakers, ready to traverse the rugged terrain. As they trekked into the heart of the woods, their laughter echoed against the towering trees, a symphony of joy and friendship. As they hiked deeper into the forest, they stumbled upon an old, cobbled path. Curious, they decided to explore it. Vines twisted around ancient stones, and sunlight filtered through the dense canopy overhead, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The path led them to a clearing that seemed out of place, as if the trees themselves had parted with intent. In the center of the clearing stood a weathered hot air balloon, its vibrant colors faded and worn. A rusty sign nearby read, "To those who dare to dream, embark on a journey through time." Brad, always the thrill seeker, couldn't resist investigating further. As he approached the balloon, he felt a strange pull. It was as if the wind whispered secrets only he could hear. Emily followed closely, curious about Brad's fascination. "What do you think it does?" she asked, her voice tinged with excitement. "Only one way to find out," he replied, grinning, his adventurous spirit contagious. After some playful banter, they decided to climb into the balloon's basket. It was a cozy space, filled with an array of strange gadgets and symbols that neither of them recognized. As the group gathered around, Emily pushed a button, and suddenly, the balloon began to vibrate. The air around them crackled with electricity. "What did you do?" Brad exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. With a jolt, the ground beneath them glowed, enveloping them in a blinding aura. Moments later, the world spun, colors whirling like a painter's palette. When the light faded, they found themselves no longer in the forest, but standing on a bustling gondola in Venice, Italy. "What just happened?" someone shouted, their voice drowned out by the sound of splashing water and the calls of gondoliers. The group exchanged glances, disbelief mingling with elation. The timeless waterways, the charming bridges, and the scent of romance filled the air. But before they could fully process their surroundings, a shadow loomed over the water. A giant jellyfish glided gracefully through the canal, mesmerizing everyone. Except for Emily, who noticed something strange about it. Its body shimmered with a bright light that flickered like a neon sign. Suddenly, the balloon reappeared, hovering above the water, and with it came a powerful windstorm. The friends held onto each other tightly as the winds whipped around them, sending gondolas bobbing wildly amidst the chaos. It was as though nature itself was urging them to return home. Just as quickly as the storm swept in, it evaporated, leaving them standing in the forest once more, the balloon faithfully beside them. They looked at one another, shaking off the remnants of confusion, exhilarated and bewildered. Their hike had taken a thrilling turn, a temporary escape from reality that felt like a lucid dream. As they began to retrace their steps, they found themselves not merely hiking through the woods but journeying through their own friendship, each moment crystallizing into a cherished memory. They shared a sense of camaraderie, losing themselves in laughter and playful chases, the cold wind no longer biting but invigorating. But the adventure wasn't over. As they neared the end of the trail, they found a young boy lost and shivering. He had wandered too far from his family. Without hesitation, Brad stepped forward, his protective instincts kicking in. "We'll help you find them." The team worked together to navigate the woods, fierce determination in their hearts. And as they finally located the boy's family, tears of gratitude filled their eyes. The warmth of hugs and the rush of relief swelled in their chests, and in that moment, they were reminded that the greatest adventure wasn't the balloon ride or the shock of time travel, but the heartwarming connections they shared. With the sunset painting the sky in vibrant hues, Brad, Emily, and their friends walked home, their spirits high. The woods had whispered secrets that day, and every winding trail and surprising moment had woven a deeper bond between them. As they reached the edge of the forest, Brad turned to Emily and smiled, a newfound spark of romance igniting between them. They had found adventures, excitement, and most importantly, they had found each other. The Tides of Friendship, Chapter 1. The beginning of adventure. In the picturesque coastal town of Saltwater Bay, nestled between majestic mountains and the shimmering ocean, lived four spirited friends. Caitlin, Paige, Mary-Kate, and Ashley. Each girl had her own distinct personality and dreams, yet together, they formed an unbreakable bond. Caitlin, the whimsical dreamer, longed to explore the world beyond the waves. She had a fascination with the ocean and the stories hidden beneath its surface. Paige, the practical planner, was always ready with a map in hand. Her love for schedules and strategy kept their adventures structured yet fun. Mary-Kate, the adventurous thrill-seeker, could often be found trying out extreme sports or organizing the most exhilarating escapades. Ashley, the compassionate one, had a knack for bringing everyone together, always ensuring that laughter filled the air. As summer began, the girls stood on the sandy shores, watching the horizon where the sky kissed the sea, filled with excitement for the vacation they had been planning for months. A cruise on the majestic ocean liner, the Blue Horizon. Chapter 2. Setting sail. As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the girls boarded the cruise ship. Laughter echoed as they waved goodbye to Saltwater Bay, their hearts full of anticipation for the adventures to come. On board, they encountered Captain Nathan, a charismatic and seasoned sailor with tales of the sea. He shared stories of ancient shipwrecks and underwater treasures, igniting Caitlin's imagination. Teasingly, he challenged them to uncover the mysteries of the ocean during their journey. Turning point 1. During the first night on the ship, a fierce storm threatened their voyage. The ship rocked violently, and panic spread among the passengers. The girls, however, remembered Captain Nathan's words about courage. They held hands and reassured one another, laughing through their fears until the storm calmed. It solidified their bond, proving they could face any challenge together. Chapter 3. The Underwater Realm. The next day brought radiant sunshine and the promise of underwater adventures. They donned their diving gear and descended into the clear blue waters. As they explored the underwater world, vibrant coral reefs and colorful fish surrounded them. Caitlin felt a deep connection to the ocean, as if she belonged among the waves. Subplot A. During their dive, Ashley discovered a peculiar, ancient-looking amulet nestled in the sands. They learned from Captain Nathan that it was a relic of a long-lost underwater civilization. This discovery sparked a quest to uncover its origins. They decided to research the artifact during their travels and unearth its secrets. Turning point 2. As they continued their journey, they encountered a local sea captain named Marco, who shared legends of the ocean. Inspired by his tales, the girls decided to help him protect a nearby coral reef from pollution, blending their adventure with a meaningful cause. They organized a beach cleanup as a way to give back to the ocean that had welcomed them. Chapter 4. High Hopes. As their cruise continued, the girls tried extreme sports like water skiing and hand gliding. Each new activity brought fits of laughter and unforgettable memories. They celebrated life, reveled in their friendship, and cherished every moment as sunset after sunset unfolded breathtaking views that cast golden reflections on the water. However, Paige began to feel overwhelmed. As the planner, she had taken on the responsibility of organizing every single detail, but she started to doubt if she was also a part of the fun. One evening, while watching the sunset with Ashley, she opened up about her worries. Subplot B. This conversation led to a heartfelt discussion about the importance of balancing responsibility with enjoyment. Paige realized that true friendship meant not solely facilitating adventures but also embracing spontaneity. Together, they formulated a plan. They would create a daily challenge, where each girl would take turns picking a spontaneous activity. Turning point 3. The next spontaneous adventure was a parachuting experience, something none of them had yet tried. As they descended together, the rush of air and the stunning view ignited a sense of freedom and exhilaration. When they landed safely on a secluded shore, the girls cheered and high-fived, symbolizing growth, acceptance, and a new chapter. Chapter 5. A New Life and Friendship. Back on the ship, with the ocean stretching endlessly before them, they continued to deepen their friendship. Caitlin dove deeper into understanding the ocean, inspired by the amulet and the legends shared by Marco. Her curiosity blossomed into a desire to pursue marine biology once they returned home. As their cruise drew to a close, they gathered on the deck for one last sunset. The view was stunning, with hues of lavender and gold reflecting on the sparkling waters. Each girl expressed gratitude for the experiences they shared. The laughter, the adventures, and even the emotional growth. With the sun setting and the horizon stretching infinitely before them, they made a pact. They would always support each other's dreams, no matter where life led them next. The ocean, vast and full of mystery, had taught them about friendship, courage, and the importance of embracing life's journeys. Epilogue. Anchored in friendship, back in Saltwater Bay, the girls returned to their lives but carried with them a sense of purpose. Caitlin enrolled in marine biology courses, inspired by the ocean's wonders. Paige learned to balance planning with spontaneity. Mary-Kate shared her newfound adventure tales through a vlog, while Ashley organized community events to advocate for ocean preservation. As they gathered for ice cream at their favorite beachside shack, laughter filled the air once more. The salty breeze tousled their hair, and the following sunrise promised new adventures. They were anchored in friendship, ready to dive into the next chapter of their lives. Together. Brad and the Great Island Adventure. Once upon a time, in a quiet town where the only excitement came from the town's annual cookie-eating contest, there lived a quirky fellow named Brad. Now, Brad wasn't your average Joe. He was an oddball with an equally oddball set of hobbies. He spent his days working at a small shipping company, dreaming of motorbikes, dirt bikes, and, most importantly, boats. One day, good old Brad decided it was time to escape his monotonous life. He tossed aside thoughts of paperwork and embraced the wild side of life. "I'm heading to that island everyone's talking about," he declared, waving a rusty pickaxe like it was a battle axe. Little did he know, this island was anything but ordinary. On the way to the dock, Brad couldn't help but imagine the potential adventures. His mind raced between scenarios involving giraffes playing poker, or a donkey that could sing better than a pop star. He chuckled to himself, imagining his life on this island filled with destructive clowns and maybe a rogue Komodo dragon or two. As he approached the water's edge, Brad's buddy, Charlie, met him. Known for his knowledge of everything, from snakes to strawberries, Charlie was the brains behind their wild escapades. "Got enough sunscreen, Brad?" Charlie asked, adjusting his oversized sunglasses. "Oh, please. I'm a walking sunscreen commercial. Now, let's get that boat," Brad replied, puffing out his chest like a peacock. After a hilarious struggle to sail the boat, complete with a tangled fishing line and a seagull that clearly thought it owned the vessel, they eventually landed on the mysterious island. The moment they stepped ashore, they were greeted by a blaring stereo playing the most ridiculous circus music imaginable. "What's happening? Are we in a fantasy or reality?" Brad exclaimed, looking around. Suddenly, a group of clowns bounced into view, juggling everything from rocks to blueberry cookies, which they served like fine cuisine. Amidst the chaos, a gigantic giraffe poked its head through the trees, apparently entranced by the tunes. If only I had a remote control for your mind, Brad quipped. Imagine the sights we'd see. While wrestling with laughter, Brad realized he had forgotten the main reason he came: to collect wildflowers for his clown-themed garden. Instead, he found himself swarmed by a group of enthusiastic clowns who seemed to have mistaken him for a clown in training. They promptly handed him a wig, a loud blazer, and a shiny canister labeled rubber chickens. A feeling of utter confusion washed over him. Am I the punchline to a cosmic joke? He muttered before getting tickled by a feather duster clutching clown, only to laugh so hard he nearly fell over. Meanwhile, Charlie struck up an odd friendship with a nurse who was making rounds on a dirt bike. Nurse Princess, do you think I could be your assistant? He asked, eyes gleaming with excitement. Sure, if you can keep up. She giggled, racing away down a dirt path, making Charlie sprint after her, a feat that tested both his coordination and sense of direction. As the sun dipped behind the hills, they found themselves around a campfire, sharing stories, cookies, and laughter. So, what's next? Brad asked, peering into the flickering flames. I think we need to build something extraordinary, like a lighthouse out of, wait for it, recycled cookie tins and old lighters. Charlie announced. Now that's a beacon of hope. Brad exclaimed, imagining how the world would change if they learned to respect their roots while joyfully embracing their wild ideas. That night, as they lay under the stars, Brad realized that life was never about being smart or dumb. It was about having fun and making every moment a story worth telling. It was about seeing the desert and knowing that, just beyond the next dune, was dessert. A sweet reward for embracing the crazy adventure of life. Next stop, the city. Brad cheered, already planning the next installment of their humor-laden journey filled with laughter, crazy friends, and maybe a few more clowns.